you know, Jim has done this at the annual meeting. When you go to the annual meeting, you're talking to the board of directors, you're talking to the people who own General Motors. And Jim has done this many times.
Yes, he has. I've seen the plan.
But when he's all by himself, they give him his, how many minutes you get?
Right.
2-3 minutes?
I might go over a little.
Well, what if I got up there, what if I got up to the mic and said, I
Right,
want to
my buddy
concede my
Dow.
time to Jim Dow?
No, if you just said, hey, maybe this guy's got an idea, just speak your mind.
Well,
Put the
we've
words
done
in
this at
everybody's mouth.
U.A.W. conventions. Somebody gets the mic and said, you know, I concede my time to George.
I'm not an ego trick, I just want to sell more cars.
And then they do that, you know, 3-4 times in a row, and they give somebody like Jim 10-15 minutes rather than the infamous 2. If he got up at the annual meeting and there were 1,000 retirees,
500.
500, they'd be scared shitless. They
Why
wouldn't
did
be
we
able
only
to
hear
cut
about
the
this
mic.
today, though, I guess?
Well, it's not till August, they just announced it.
Well, all we're saying is it happens in August, but it takes time to prepare this. First of all, you got to buy a share of stock.
Yeah,
It's
right.
less than a Happy Meal.
You got it. You got it. But when you go to Congress, that's an indirect route. He's talking about going to the jugular.
I'm walking around the board of directors last year. Let's go up to the microphone.
My brother Maury got kicked out.
I said, I would like to know how many of you people disagreed with what Mr. Wagoner's doing. Can I have a show of hands, please?
Disagree?
Nobody, they didn't move. Goldman Sachs, British Petroleum, Pfizer, Deutsche Bank, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch.
That's because they're all on this list where they are.
Let's get them.
Greg,
Come on, bring it.
what do you think we're doing?
Tell them how you feel. Bring some passion.
All right, you get, we want a meeting before this, is that what you're saying? I bet
We can talk online.
Pat, hang on.
Go ahead.
You said something about 1,000 retirees at the meeting. The problem with the majority of the retirees, and correct me if I am wrong, all they care about is going to their potluck dinner once a month. And sitting there.
No.
A lot of them. No. A lot of them do. A lot of them are not very active.
Yes,
A lot of them,
they're
you guys
older.
are active.
Some of them don't look back. They're getting ready to die, for Christ's sakes, or their wife just passed away. I'm serious. The retirees are the salt of the earth. We should thank God for the retirees.
Well, I'm not just
Wait a minute, we have a question over here from a retiree, please, Vicki.
It's not a question, it's a statement.
Okay.
The retirees have no voice in anything.
Right.
We get what they tell us we can have. We
Amen.
can't vote, we can't do anything.
Right.
So don't sit and say the retirees don't do
It
anything.
makes sense. For example, if the governor was here today, and I don't see her amongst us,
No, she
but
isn't.
if she had happened to be here, I had a thought for her. I was going to say, Jenny, what we should do, if we want to do better in Michigan, if you buy a car for $30,000 and you trade in one for $20,000, you're spending $10,000. Why should you have to give me tax on the $30,000? You're only spending $10,000. Let's do tax on the difference, like most of the states in the country. Let's do something to help the car business. This just makes sense.
Right.
Let's do things that make sense for Christ's sake.
So are you saying we should see the governor before the meeting?
Well, we can talk to her too.
Okay.
But let's look at the whole picture. Let's take a clean look. Let's get back to
Right.
basics here.
God, we've been willing for 15
I mean,
years.
if you spend $10,000, why should you pay $3,000 in tax? For Christ's sakes.
Well,
That's a disincentive. We want to sell cars, right? I think everybody that
And
works
to
at
say
General
what you
Motors,
say, we'll try to get it all over the country. I think you make a good point.
everybody works at General Motors. If you're drawing a paycheck, not the retiree, if you get a salary at General Motors, you got to spend one day a month in a dealership, preferably in the service lane, saying hi to
They
people.
said that at the hearings.
That's what I want
I
to see.
sat
them
next
do.
to all your other
Get back
dealers.
in the field. Talk to people.
Okay, you
Let's
want-
get back in
I
the
got
car
30
business.
cars that sat,
And
they
you
were
know
all
what?
silk-suited there.
We'll be able to pay
I'll
these
give you their
benefits
names.
like we used to.
Good.
We'll be able to take
I
care
got
of our
30 of
people.
them that sat next to me when they asked the question. I'll give you their cards. They said they're the biggest dealerships, George and all. I got them
The
all.
bigger they are, the harder they fall. They're closing all
Good,
over the
then you-
country.
I got a good idea. I'll get them to you. Handle. I think it's a great idea. I think
You know
you're
what?
right on.
If we do it right, we'll send Toyota right back to Japan.
Good. Okay. I'm for that.
The American people want to support the domestics. We just got to welcome them back. We can't give them a bad intake gasket
So-
and think they're going to spend $1,000 and want to come back and buy another car
You're
from
the
us.
mind I am. We didn't work with U.A.W. at the conventions. We know that. But they didn't change anything, right? They still take my
Well,
money out.
God bless the U.A.W. I can tell you that right now.
God bless them.
I got issues with the union and the leadership. They're not perfect. Nobody is. I'm not. But you're very, very lucky to have the U.A.W. God bless the U.A.W. Seriously.
What do you base that?
You just need-
What do I base it
Let me
on?
ask the question.
Because these capitalists would have cut your throat so fast you'd have nothing to do.
Delphi salaried retirees.
They play a lot of Delphi games, don't they?
Delphi
But if you
salaried
didn't have
retirees.
She's one, well, she's.
I think this guy should be the president of UAW.
What-
I mean, but it's a great organization.
Rita,
They're not
did you
perfect.
have a union representing?
You don't know what you're talking about.
Was a union
Who does?
representing you when they took your health care?
No, she's salaried.
That's what I mean.
No.
No, that's what Jim is saying. Yeah, we have a lot of issues with the U.A.W. But we didn't, you know, it would all be gone just like they got rid of yours. And it would have been gone years ago.
And it's going back to the same thing. It's the upper leadership. They've gotten greedy with what they were getting, and they want more and more and more. And that's why they're retiring and going out the door right now, because they know they've done wrong.
How can you pay somebody $20,000 to go away and then they want to hire somebody else? Tell me they're not playing games.
Because
Why wouldn't you let people
they're getting
retire
rid of the
normally?
guy with $20,000 because they want a $5 job.
And they raise your pension, they raise the pension fund to give the money away.
Yes.
What kind of game is that?
Yes.
Yeah, Greg, you're making a good
Greg,
point.
you weren't here earlier when I talked about this. In the Saginaw Metal Cast plant, there was 2 electricians that tried to retire 18 months ago. And they were told that because they worked for Saginaw Steering Gear for 1 month before they became Delphi, that all their GM time was Delphi. That was 18 months ago, all right? So General Motors removed their pension liability off the GM books whenever, but 18 months ago, they couldn't retire as General Motors employees. Now that General Motors has gone to Washington, and they have to show Washington that, hey, this is what we're doing to get people out of the plants. These people got certified letters last week in the mail to electricians saying that they have GM time and they can retire and they'll be out the door Tuesday next week.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
that, you talk about cooking the books, there it is, right there.
No, I understand that, you know, entirely. But, you know, I think, you know, George was speaking to this earlier and didn't get to finish about we need a stronger union. George, how can we, you know, motivate people? I personally, I think part of it is it has to be the conditions that they're under until the pressure is there. But go ahead, George.
Well, I think that, you know, the number one thing is don't lose hope. And, you know, I've been an activist, a trade union activist for, well, since the day I got my union card, because then I could say what I wanted, you know, on the shop floor. So don't lose hope, because when you think about how the union started, they started in the Depression. And like, what's your name, Jim?
Jim Dellinger.
Jim, yeah. You said, yeah, we're in a better position now than when the union was born. We just have to think about giving a new life to the union, and you've got to have that union attitude that, yeah, I do care about my brother and my sister. And yes, I am going to speak in favor of the union, even though, you know, I have a lot of issues with the U.A.W. too. But the one thing I want to say about what's going on right now, we're in a very unique situation. This bailout money, well, they call it bridge loan now, and then the government's going to be the one who's going to make us knuckle under to take some concessions. I'm sitting on pins and needles because Monday they're going to tell me how much I got to give up at Chrysler, which isn't. I can't go to a shareholders meeting for Chrysler anymore because unless what's his name, Dan Quayle invites me, you know, I'm not going to get in. So anyhow, and I didn't get a Christmas card from him, so that makes me feel bad. But anyhow, my point is, they want to cut my wages as part of this government bailout or bridge loan or whatever you want to call it, that they're going, because it's corporate welfare. Oh yeah, we got to have this money, and the workers got to take a pay cut. And then they want to send a stimulus package. They want to cut my pay $8 an hour and then send me a check from the government for $250. Spend your money, George. Go out and live it up.
You had a question, Lorna?
It's crazy. You have to tell people it's crazy what they're doing to the auto workers. It doesn't make any sense anymore.